And today's topic, again, I want to thank everybody for joining me. My name is Steve Scott. I'll talk a bit more about myself in just a moment. But today's topic we're going to do is where to focus your SEO efforts in 2020, right? What things you need to do during this year to keep your website, keep people getting to your site, and the things that you should be focused in on. Like I said, my name is Steve Scott. I am with the New York SEO Training Academy. I'm also the owner and director of training at the Tampa SEO Training Academy. I'm originally from the New York metro area. Spent a number of years in Manhattan in the training end of things, even in corporate America in Midtown Manhattan. Moved to Tampa about 14 years ago, and about 3 years ago, I opened up another branch in New York to be able to come back home, miss the hustle and bustle of New York. Pray for all of you guys, all my friends, family, and all of you guys in New York to stay safe, stay healthy. Obviously, we've got an incredibly unprecedented time going on in our history, but want you guys to all be safe and sound. Please do whatever you can to do that. You can find my more information about me at newyorkseo.com or Tampa SEO. The number is on the screen as well. You'll see it in the top left-hand corner too. I've been in the SEO business for over 20 years. I actually began offering services in 1997, and I've got a history of computer training dating back into Manhattan in 1990 when people were just getting computers, and I was teaching at places like IBM and American Express, Pfizer, Daily News, Revlon. We'd go in and we teach everybody from the main VPs, executives, all the way down to new hires and stuff in the mailroom. We were teaching them how to use Windows, how to use a mouse and things like that. It's a long time ago, this day and age. I've also been a Search Engine Academy, SEA certified master SEO trainer. So I've been teaching these classes now that I give 5-day classes. I've teaching them for 14 years. I'm in my 15th year at the moment. I'm also an SEO consultant, a web strategist. People call me for information, help with issues that they're having with their websites, audits of their websites to see why their website's not ranking, things like that. Others also might tell you I'm a pretty nice guy. So hopefully you can kind of decide for some of that on your own. We are recording today's webinar, so hopefully we'll get that link out to you within 24 to 48 hours. Feel free to share the recording link with friends, colleagues, anybody else. If we do run over time answering questions or for some other reason you need to take off, don't worry about it. Just you can check out the recording later for whatever you've missed. Let me just make sure everything is recording. Yes, I think we're good. So why don't we go ahead and get things started. I see a lot of people chatting, going in. That's great. I will definitely get back to that, although I'm not going to be able to kind of keep my eyes on it as we go. We have a lot to cover, and I don't want to get distracted by the chat. So we'll come back to your questions after, and we can also open up the floor. You guys can show yourselves and ask the questions directly. I'll call on you guys when we get there, though, okay? Why don't we go ahead and get started? So what are we going to cover today? Well, there are 14 things that you need to focus on in 2020. What are they? Well, if I told you them, it's going to spoil all the fun. So why don't we just go ahead and dive in and get started with our 14 things. So number one, this is always the case, I try to beat this into everybody's brain, is you must be user focused, okay? Google is all about the user. Everything that Google does is designed to get the user experience, the intent of the user, to make the user happy, okay? And so you always want to focus on your users as well. So whenever you're thinking about some new idea for content, you're thinking about some new special you want to run, even if you're thinking about some kind of advertisement you might want to put out there, you need to think about, is this good for my users, right? Think, is there value for my users in this? If you're just putting some content up for the heck of it, and you don't really care about it, you're just doing it for the purposes of maybe getting ranked, that's the wrong reason. You should be putting up content or putting up information or whatever it is that you do that's valuable for the people who you want to be at your website, the people who are potentially going to buy from you or engage with you in some way. You want to make sure that your users trust you. Okay, I'm going to talk more about this a little bit later on, but trust is a big factor. I mean, think about when you're doing your own searches for things. Maybe you need a dentist, right? And you don't have dentists. Maybe you're new to an area, so you type in, dentist near me into Google, and up pops a bunch of dentists in like the local area, okay, where you see the map and the reviews. Right? Well, don't you use the reviews to figure out who you might want to call first? Well, that's a trust issue, right? You're kind of relying on what others have to say to kind of build trust. And you want to trust people. If you've ever been to a website that you go to and you're like, this looks kind of shady, I'm not buying from these guys, let me go somewhere else. Just happened to me the other day. I was looking at something online and I got hit up on Facebook with adjustable dumbbells. And I looked at them and they were Bowflex dumbbells for $89. And I'm like, that can't be right. And sure enough, when I get on Amazon, they're like $789. So the website just didn't seem trustworthy, and I didn't say, wow, it's a great deal. I'm like, something's up here. And I went and I did some digging, and I went, no, not going to buy there. And the other thing you want to be thinking about is reliability, right? How reliable are you, are your products, are people praising the kind of work that you've done, praising the products that you have, or are they kind of like, well, I thought it was going to be better than it, or it didn't last as long. Again, think like reviews on Amazon when you go to buy something. Doesn't that sometimes determine what you'll buy based on the reliability of the product? If it may look good, may work good, but if people are like, well, it didn't really do the job well, or here's the issues with it, you may decide to go elsewhere. So you should go and sit down with your customers, right? Talk to them, ask them things about their journey to purchase. Right? What got them started? What were they thinking? What was their need? How did they use search to find you, right? Did they do a paid ad? Did they sit down and search for something in particular? What did they think of your site when they got there? Did they think it was too slow? They thought it was confusing, but they needed what you had and you had some good information. Did they think it was too long or too short, not enough? What did they think about your site? What kind of made them decide to go with you? What was their choice that they made? And why did they make that choice? And then take that data into the decisions that you make about what else you should do, what things you should focus in on. So that's number one. Be user-focused in everything that you do. Always ask the question, will this help my users? Or another question you can ask yourself is, would I do this if the search engines didn't exist? Okay? If you're doing things for the sake of the search engines in the hopes of getting better rankings, and you don't really care whether it's good for your users or not, well, that's not what Google wants. Google's getting so much better at understanding what a user wants and what their intent is and what their needs are. I'm going to talk more about that as we go through this. So number one, be user-focused. Number two, super important, especially if you're a local business. And I've got some important news about Google My Business as well coming up in just a moment. But Google My Business, abbreviated GMB, you want to shoot for a 100% completed GMB information page. So Google My Business is when you go to Google and you do a search for something like, let me bring this over here. I don't know, I'll say dentist near me, right? Something like that. And up pops these things here, right? You'll notice that there are ads now showing up in local. That's going to become more important. But this is what we call local listings here. And without a Google My Business listing, you cannot appear here at all. You must have a Google My Business listing by going to business.google.com. All right, we'll talk more about that. But once you have that listing, that's when you're going to want to start getting reviews and you want to start uploading photos. But you want to make sure that everything Google's asking for is complete, okay, in the information section, this information area. And we're not going to spend hours on this. We actually have a big one, a webinar. My next webinar next week is going to be all about Google My Business. We're going to talk about all the different parts of it and what you can find it and the best ways to set it up. But keep in mind, these are some of the basics here. Shoot for it to be 100% complete. Make sure you pick the right primary category. Okay, don't write in your own category. Google will ask you, what category of business are you in? And you want to make sure that you have the right category selected, and you want it to be the ones that are just like everybody else's, basically. So you'll see it says dentist, but here's cosmetic dentist, right? A little different. So you want to be the one that's the most valuable for you. And be aware, if you pick the wrong primary category, the odds of you showing up well in local search next to other people who have the right category is going to be really hard, okay? You want to add what are called posts on a regular basis. Google My Business does allow you to add information about a new product or a service, just what's new, coupons or events, as well as some additional information that they've just put out. We'll talk about that in a moment. But again, offers, events, and so on. You want to acquire and respond to all reviews quickly, all right? So whenever anybody leaves a review, you want to encourage people to leave reviews as well. And in the Google My Business webinar next week, I'll talk a little bit more about how to do that. But you want to also respond to those reviews and respond quickly. Google wants you to be interactive. Why? Because it's good for the users, right? Someone leaves a nice review and you go, oh, thank you so much for the great review. I really appreciate it. Hey, you want to be responsive to that, right? When you're responsive to your users, other users go, wow, look at that. They responded right away. It makes them feel more trustworthy towards you as well, right? Post photos and videos, all right? Google allows you to post your own, but they also allow your customers to post their own. So if you have a business that's really sort of very picture worthy, I've got a client that does skydiving, another one I've worked with that does paintball. Those things really lend themselves to people wanting to take photos of their paintball team or jumping out of the plane. But if you can find a way to make something about it, maybe you have a specialty character or a painting or a statue that people want to take a picture with or something like that, make it interesting, ask your users to leave photos, leave videos. These are definitely becoming more important. And if you want to allow for messaging from your visitors not only can they go to your website or give you a call, they can now text you from your Google My Business listing. And you want to enable that. However, in order for you to get them and respond to them, well, you need to go get the GMB app in the Apple Store or the Android Play. You want to go to your phone stores, whatever one you use, and grab the Google My Business app. And then the messages that come through, they're not going to come in through like SMS, like regular text messages like they used to. They're only going to be coming in through the Google My Business app. So if you don't have the app on your phone, there's no way that you can get and respond to these listings. I encourage you to go ahead and get yourself the Google My Business app. It's totally free. You just log into the app just like you would your Google account, and you'll have access to it. Now, there is some breaking news here that we have to deal with, okay? Obviously, there's a lot going on. We briefly mentioned COVID-19 and what's going on right now in the world. It's unprecedented craziness all around the world. Well, it's impacting everybody, okay? It's even impacting Google. They're having staff shortages at the moment due to the health measures that they've taken for their staff. And this is actually a quote from them. I should have quoted this. And we'll be mostly focused on updating and adding health-related businesses. So let's talk a bit more about what this means, not just for the health industry, but for your own business as well, especially if you have a local business. Well, here's what you need to know. First of all, there are some GMB limitations right now, all right? So at the moment, because of everything that's going on, any new reviews, replies to those new reviews, new short names, which give you a quick way to get to leave a review, and I'll talk about that next week. All the videos that you may upload, all the questions and answers that may go up there, these are going to be unavailable during this time, okay? So I did do a little digging, and I was informed, again, this is not from Google directly, but it was from a support group for local search, which this is a part of. And what we're hearing is that if someone does leave a review, let's say you're still providing business, someone goes and leaves a review, that at some point that review will wind up. But for right now, you won't see it. You won't be able to leave a reply for it. You're not going to be able to do these things. Google Posts are also still technically available. These are those weekly posts that expire that can be seen on the web. Actually, here I can show you one real quick. Here, for example, is just put my company name here, and down at the bottom you see these are my posts, right? Some of the posts that we've put out there recently, from training to other kind of webinar and so on down the line. So these are posts just like kind of Facebook would, or other social media platforms. In essence, it's sort of like Google's way of doing social media and posting. However, we are hearing that a number of them are being more frequently rejected than they used to be before. But this is what Google has said. This, again, right from Google. They're going to be temporarily prioritizing reviews for edits critical to health-related businesses, all right? So those are going to be big and really heavy, the health-related type businesses. Special hours, right? So I know, for example, my the local craft brewery down the road that I frequent way too often. They have special hours, right? They're only working a few hours and they're just doing growler fills. So, or some places are temporarily closed, right? You're just out of business at the moment. You're temporarily closed. So these things are currently being prioritized for the health-related field. But if you have special hours now, you can go in there and you can update those hours. If your business is currently closed due to COVID-19, you can go in there and you can put temporary closures. We've been assured a number of times from different places, from Google as well, that these temporary closures are not going to completely impact it's not like your business is closed. It's a temporary closure. And once all the nuttiness goes and things begin to open up, you'll be able to go get it back. But again, Google wants to help your users. They want to, I mean, maybe some of you, I know my son's friend was talking about they were going to the car wash. And I'm like, are you sure they're open? Right? Well, again, if you went to Google and they have the updated hours, it could say closed on it. And in fact, probably is closed anyway, but the dentist one, see how it says closed, closed, closed. So it can give you some ideas on when it may be closed. All right. Your business descriptions also, and any business attributes edited for other verified businesses. So if you're maybe putting a new business in, it may take a little longer to get up there. But the idea is here, if you're in any kind of health related business whatsoever, you're going to get the priority on these things for these hours and temporary closures as well. But even still, if you are a restaurant, you're a bar of some sort, or you're doing some kind of takeout now, and your hours are different. I know a lot of the Chinese restaurants near my location have closed completely, even though they can do takeout. They've closed completely. So these are the kind of things that they're looking for you to update within their system, and they've made a big effort to do this. Now, no one's really sure when it's going to change, when it's going to go back, obviously. So I put a link here. Let me go ahead and I think I can probably drop this into. Let me go back here and drop it into the chat for you. There we go, just so you have it. And if I forget one of these while we're doing it, you just let me know when we get to the end, and I'll go ahead and pop them in there. And again, for businesses that are impacted, you want to check out this link, okay? So this is really going to get into, I'll go ahead and grab that link for you as well. And put that in. This is super important. It's brand spanking new information, really. Just trying to get this to open up. All right, well, we'll get it out there. It's not working right now. But again, this is from Google. You want to make sure that your customers have the latest information about your business. So change your business hours, update the times when you'll be open or closed, manage your information. You can do it in a business description, right? You can explain whether or not your business operations have been impacted by COVID-19. You can share any information about maybe additional precautions your business may be taking, such as moving to takeout, delivery only, maybe limiting number of people in a store, those kind of things. And you can also share if you're providing any extra services to the community, whether you're experiencing delays, with whatever. But you can create a post as well and share more detailed information and timely updates about what's going on through these posts, like, again, adding information about what products and services maybe you have available, and then linking to other resources. Google has also created a COVID-19 update, and you'll see that in the updates area. It's under posts when you log into your Google My Business listing. And here's where you would go, click on a COVID-19 update, fill out the status here. And it's a really good idea to add one of these posts if you have been impacted, whether you're closed, whether it's temporary, whether you've had to change the way you're doing business or operating, to give people, again, that comfort, that trust to know, okay, I can go there, I'm gonna feel safe, and and so on. Or, all right, business is closed, we're gonna reopen, when things change. So be sure you go in there. I know I spent a lot of time on this, but obviously this is breaking news, super important. I wanted to make sure you guys knew about this. So if you were going to update your reviews or get reviews and then you didn't get anywhere, you'd probably be wondering why that was the case. So hopefully now it'll be clear. Let me just get that link out. There we go. There's that link. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's move on to number 3. Number 3 is called EAT, E-A-T. And EAT stands for expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. And this is from Google. Expertise is, well, who are you and why should I take your word for what you say? Now, notice how when I opened up this presentation, I gave you some background about who I am and how long I've been involved in this. And hopefully that just says to you, hey, this guy's an expert. He's been doing this a long time. And I should take a listen to what he has to say, because he's been doing it for 20 plus years, right? So who are you and why should I take your word for what you say? You want to make sure, and Google is kind of looking at things like about us pages, who's talking about you, reviews, things like that. You need to be seen as an expert in your line of business, which is why I do these kind of things, right? I want to be out there. I want people to know, I want people to hear this information. It's great for you guys. It gets my name out there, helps me brand myself. It's win-win. So you want to do this by creating great content on an ongoing and regular basis and share it wide and far, which is what we're trying to do here. So be an expert. You need to be authoritative as well, right? You need to show that your site is authoritative or the authority within your industry, right? Your site is the site everybody wants to be like or talks about in your industry, right? So, you think about, training in New York. You think Mobile Desktop, right? That's where to go. These guys are on top of the search for everything. They're there. That's the name you think. If you're thinking about, I don't know, car rental, you might think Hertz or Enterprise. But those are authoritative sites that are well-known in the industry. They're the brand in the industry, in the area, in the town that you may be in. And so you need to build this. And that only comes over time, okay? You become authoritative and well-known in the industry over time. You can kind of think of it like branding as well, all right? But you want to be where your site is the site everybody wants to be like, or that's the one talking about in your industry. And last but not least is trustworthiness, right? The users and the search engine both need to know that they can trust you and your site to provide secure, meaning HTTPS, reliable, informative content that others appreciate and value. When people appreciate and value what you do, they go and leave you reviews and they write nice things about you on Facebook or Twitter, hint, hint. And they do other things like that. So again, you're looking to build trust. And trust issues not only to manifest themselves as reviews and feedback about your brand, but they take on the form of technical or security issues on your website. Is your site secure? HTTPS, right? Does your site have a lot of broken links on it where people click on things and they go nowhere, right? Those are technical issues that would say, huh, something's up with this site. Why does it keep giving me a dead page? And to understand just how important this concept is to Google, Google has a 168-page PDF document called the Search Quality Evaluator Guidelines. And they give this document, I actually have a copy printed out on my coffee table in the house here, got to go through. But this is a document, a manual that they give people they hire to actually go through websites and then review them. And what's the best websites, what the worst websites, what are the most offensive websites, and so on. Well, that term EAT out of 168 pages appears 135 times. Okay, now granted, a bunch of those are in the section on EAT, but it's spread out throughout the whole thing. It is super important that you build your expertise. Why should I go to you? Your authoritativeness is, why are you important? You are the one to go to, and how trustworthy are you? I want to know that if I come to you, I'm going to get a good job, I'm going to get a good work, good service, good whatever, and that you're going to be there for me to help me out. So keep that in mind for number 3. Number 4 is SERP marketing. So SERP marketing is kind of brand marketing that's happening on Google. It's meaning to optimize your knowledge base, these zero-click searches, featured snippet optimization. I'm going to show you these in a minute. So let's take a look at that. That's sort of like what I did here, right? So if I go and type in my company name, which is my brand name, you can type in yours. I type in mine, and you see I get my website shows up here. I get a link here from this is CourseSource because they also have my classes listed. General Assembly's got somebody else's classes, but I got Groupon is for me. My knowledge graph is here. It says when I'm open and closed, but currently closed. Locations here, phone numbers are here. So I want to look around and see all the pages that show up when I type my name in, right? What's showing up? I see star ratings from Facebook. Do I see star ratings for Eventbrite? Do I see, here's a MapQuest listing for me. So I want to take a look at these things, and wherever I can maybe find additional links, additional URLs, additional stars, I want to go ahead and make sure I do that. I want to make sure my information is complete. Do I have my right brand here? Do I have the right picture here? Do I have the right marker there? You want to go ahead and take a look at this because basically a lot of search is not even coming from your website. More and more and more these days, Google is sending traffic away from what we call zero-click searches. So if you do an information search like, here's what I did one earlier. What is a display port versus HDMI? Well, look, I asked a question and I get this page comes up, right? What it is. And that may be exactly satisfying. That may be exactly what I need. I got my information, never click on anything. So Barco doesn't get a click at all. They actually gave information. What about these other things? You've probably clicked on these. These people also ask, is DisplayPort better than HDMI? And you click on this and up pops an answer from PC Mag. Now, yeah, you can go ahead and click on PC Mag, but a lot of, like I was saying, are these zero-click answers where you're not actually clicking anything. You're just getting information that you want. Featured snippet optimization. That's where we kind of saw that here. This is what's called a featured, well, I'm sorry, that's just a snippet, a rich snippet. A featured snippet is more like one of these things here or like one of these guys, right? Where you guys see it's a featured snippet. It's one of these where it's like a question answer. Maybe there's some images, a lot of content. Typically, you want to have a lot of valuable content about a topic area to have any shot at all at these featured snippets. But let's face it, this is coming up first, and then you got this other what we'll call structured data or rich snippets. And then you've got some answer here. You've got some video showing up here. Again, additional information here, CNET and PC Mag and so on. Even other related searches down here. So this is kind of what we're talking about when we get to the zero-click or featured snippet optimization and using what are called schemas, like FAQ schema or how-to schema. Now we'll talk more about schema in a few minutes. I'm going to give you a little cheat. There's something about schema coming up. Image targeting as well, even favicon optimization. So image targeting would be, like not for this one, but let's go back here. You could see that, there's some images showing up here. Dentist near me. I don't think we see any images on that one. You see some of those questions down in here. You see some star ratings here within the search result. That's also what's for my featured snippet or structured data. So that's some important stuff that gives you additional information that you can see within your system, okay? So we want to look at what's showing up, what images are showing up, what favicons are showing up, and so on. Speed, another biggie here, okay? The speed of your site and the speed of the individual pages of your site. Google is, again, about the user. How many times have you gone to a site that was really slow and you're like, oh, forget this, and you just bail, right? That increases dramatically once you get past 3 seconds. If your site takes more than 2.5, 3 seconds, you're done. Somebody asked me, what does SERP stand for? It stands for Search Engine Results Page. It's what you see after you press enter. So you search for something, hit enter. The results that you show up are called a SERP, S-E-R-P. That was in the previous slide. I did catch that one, sorry. Okay, speed is again, a user issue. So you want your site to be as fast as possible. In fact, it's so important in Google Search Console. There are new speed reports. Google Search Console is free to use. You can just go to Google, type in Google Search Console, and you will be able to see all the information about search once you figure out, once you actually get your name shown in Search Console. You have to claim it, verify that you have the rights to it, basically. You just can't get anybody's access. You have to you can't get anybody's website. You can only get access to your own website by proving you have some means of editing or changing it, all right? Now, according to our most recent data that we've looked at, 40% of consumers are gonna leave a page that takes longer than 3 seconds to load, gone. And 79% of shoppers who are dissatisfied with site performance say they're less likely to purchase from the same site again. Think about your own behaviors. Now, you've probably done that too. You probably bought something on a site that maybe was really slow, but it was the only place you could find the thing that you're looking for. You just had to deal with it. But if it came up again on that same page, but no, I'm gonna go somewhere else first. So remember, there's some easy things that you can do to kind of speed things up. One is to reduce the number of elements on a page, okay? Typically, this is gonna be things like images. Those are the big ones. But it could be like JavaScript files, CSS files, these types of things. Now, again, if you don't know what these are, you may have to bring a programmer or a developer in, but you need to be working on speed. The faster your site loads, the better, right? You also want to reduce the number and size of images on a page. So if you have like a long web page and you've got many images on the page, maybe they're backgrounds, you got to look at, do I really need this image? Is it really making a difference? Because if the thing is causing you to slow down dramatically, it's adding a half a second, and sometimes it'll add 2 or 3 seconds depending on the size, it can be a major issue, and it can really cause your site to slow down, overall page or site speed to go down, and Google is not going to like it, okay? So you want to be fast, you want to be snappy, responsive, as quick as possible. In fact, Google and the other engines came up with AMP, which stands for Accelerated Mobile Pages. These are pages that are sort of like a scaled down version of HTML, very kind of slim. Think of it like a Cliff Notes for HTML for web pages. And what happens is information is stored in the cloud and is delivered by Google directly. And these are super fast pages, but they also typically, everything's stripped clean. Maybe there's one image, maybe there's a logo, but for the most part, it's stripped clean so that it fires up really quick, loads really quick. So I've got a couple links there for you as well, all right, for testmysite.thinkwithgoogle.com and ampproject.org if you want to learn more about AMP and what you could do, right? And then there's a couple of other pages here, a couple other links for speed tests, okay? GTmetrix is the one I particularly like the best. There's a lot of them out there. There's one right there from Google, developers.google.com, page speed insights. This is definitely another one that you can use as well. I like GTmetrix because it actually gives you the information from this, and it gives you the Yahoo, and it even will show you where there might be a holdup on your site. It gives you what's called a waterfall, and it shows all the things that you're loading and what anything in particular may be not working right, maybe something's broken, maybe something's taking way too long to load, and you can determine whether or not you want to keep it or not, okay? But these things can tell you what's broken, and so you want to fix it, fix whatever is wrong to be as fast as possible, okay? I'm seeing a lot of great questions coming up. I promise I'm gonna get to all of them, right? We'll go back through all this stuff and go through it all, but Again, I want to make sure we get through the 14 points before we get to the questions. So just keep asking them and we'll come back to it. Number 6, security. I talked about it a bit before. Again, it goes down to the user. Google wants your site to be HTTPS from the ground up, right? From the .com through your About Us page, your Contact Us page. Back in the day, it only was like when you were on a shopping site, right? Only when you got to the store did you see the S. Now, Google wants it secure all the way. There's also other good reasons, because if your site's not secure, if somebody comes to your website from a secure site like Google, which Google is, it's going to be secure when it comes to you. It's going to lose the referring information, and your analytics may not look proper. You may see a very high number of direct traffic visits to your site and very low search traffic. So it can impact many things. It impacts the user. In fact, if your site's not HTTPS on Chrome, you're going to see not secure showing up on the top of the page. And you don't want to see a site that's not secure. I mean, it's not that it's broken or anything's wrong with it. It's just not secure. And by not being secure, information could be leaked and so on. So just understand, there's also this thing called HSTS, which stands for HTTP, Strict Transport Security. It's what's called a response header that tells the browser to only use the secure version of your site. So if you had like a JavaScript file that was still pointing to the HTTP version, it wouldn't allow it. It would automatically put HTTPS. It enforces this to keep your site as secure as possible, okay? I'm hearing that Firefox also says not secure any longer if you're not secure. So why are you not secure? Come on, folks, it's 2020. Get honest. We've been talking about security for years. In fact, Google they did it a while back. They said that they add a little bit more value for sites that are secure versus sites that are not secure. Number 7 is structured data. Now, we talked a bit about that, all right, and I've got a link there to the reference overview for all the structured data types that are out there. I'll go ahead and grab that and drop it in. Here we go, so you guys can see it. But these are all of the different types of structures. So just take a look at these here, right? Articles, books, breadcrumbs, carousel, courses, a contact. There's COVID-19 announcement, a critic review. What else we got? An employer rating, a salary, events, frequently asked questions, how-tos, job postings, local business, logos, movies, a ton of other things. Anything that you see in here that you have on your webpage in some way, shape, or form would be benefited by tacking on what we call structured data, okay? So if I were looking at maybe like event structured data, okay, this is going to show me things like, here's a script of it, right? The type of is an event, the name of the event, the start date, the end date, the attendance, where it's located here, some images to look at, the description of the event, what the offer is, okay, and where to find that offer, what currency it's in, and so on. Who the performer is, and maybe even where they're performing could be. There's tons of information there. And so these schemas show you how Google, what they're looking for in these results. Now, again, it's not for the everyday, person. If you're the business owner trying to run the business, you probably are not going to get under the hood with structured data. But be aware, it's super valuable because it gives you those other things that pop up, right? So, for example, if I go back over here, so you can see like here on CourseSource, they've actually got the class dates of my classes coming up in April just listed here, right? So this is called structured data. They didn't do anything different. This is structured data doing that. You can see, here's these stars that are showing up here. That's structured data on the Facebook page. Eventbrite also showing the dates of my classes. Again, this is structured data even on Eventbrite here. You can't get this. It would not show if you weren't using this formatted way that Google has put out there, okay? When it's done right, according to Martha Van Berkel, when it's done right, structured data becomes your marketing layer. It's the data layer. It's behind the scenes, right? You don't see it, the search engine see it, and the search engine see it as precise and exact information about something that you want to give them where they don't have any question of what it is. So this is super important. And it's also going to allow you to publish your content for any machine or search engine, voice assistant, chatbot with context so they can provide service to your customers across any surface at any moment that they interact with you. Super, super important, all right? behind the scenes, but so much value, hidden value that people don't know about, they don't see because it's behind the scenes, okay? There are lots of new types of markup that are continuously being added to or even improved upon. So don't automatically trust a plugin that you may have installed to structure your data correctly. They may not be great, they may be old, they may not have been updated, there may be new data, maybe new formats of it, so be careful. Things like product reviews are common to have structured data, how-tos, frequently asked questions, your address for your company, if you have a book or an event, like a webinar going on, having it and using structured data within that kind of data and that information makes a huge, huge difference for getting ranked, getting seen, and being found to be, you know, let's face it, if you're doing it and your competitors aren't, you've got a little bit of an edge over them. So think about it that way, okay? Again, there's a good markup here that you can use. There's a couple of really cool tools. I like this one here. You can use this tool to test if there's schema on a page, and you can use this tool to make your own. And I love this tool. It's super easy to use. It pops up here. I'm gonna pop that into the chat window here for you guys. And you basically can just say, what kind of schema do you want? I want an event. I want a how-to. Here's a how-to. It says, okay, what's the name of the how-to? You know, it's got a name you can put in. What's the description? What's the time it takes? The cost, if there is, a URL. And as you type stuff in, I'll just type in my name, put some information. See, it just shows up, creates a script for you, right? Just makes it automatically for you. And once you put everything in, you get all the information filled out, you grab it, this little script right here, and you paste it into your website in the appropriate location. Again, I'm not here to teach you where or how that's a whole programming or development tool. So you're gonna have to just get with a programmer or, you know, do a little more legwork, a little more digging, okay? It's more of a programming thing, but be aware, again, it's there. There are ways to help you do it yourself, and there are ways to test if you've done it right, okay? This testing tool is from Google, as you see, and it will tell you exactly if something is working or not properly. So here, I'll grab, So I'm just gonna do my home page, okay? If you had it on a particular page, you put the full URL of the page you wanted to test. You could test Facebook's page, you could test your LinkedIn profile page, you can test whatever you want. And you see here that, look, I got a web page here. This is the web page information, what it is, a description, all this information is structured data. If I go back, I can see I've got a local business page. There is an error. I've got to get this image field required for my local business, but there's the name, there's the address, and so on. These are information I put in. It has to be updated. Obviously, we've got a missing value right there for image, but this lets me see, it tells me, I've got an error, I've got a warning. What are those errors? What are those warnings? Can I fix them? And if I can't, I got to bring somebody on that can. So number 7 is structured data. Number 8 is your mobile experience and conversion ease, all right? So you must be focusing on the mobile experience first. I know most of you are probably on your computer right now, but over half of all searches are done on the mobile device, and it continues to grow. So there's gonna be more and more mobile, less desktop over time. I'm not sure about this last month or so. That may be changing a little bit for the month because we're all at home these days, supposedly. So there might be a lot more of it going on now, but mobile experiences first. You wanna build your site and you wanna look at your site on the mobile device first, right? On your mobile phone. And then make sure that they're compatible for desktop. We tend to do it the other way around when we're designing a website. We tend to look at the desktop first and then we move down to mobile. No, do it the other way around. Design your site to be as mobile friendly, as fast, as mobile optimized as you can so your users have the best experience on the mobile platform because that's more likely where they're going to be in the long run. Some of you may have 75 to 80% of your traffic coming from mobile or more, depending on the kind of business that you're in. And so you've got to make sure your site is super friendly mobile, that it's responsive, it has things like maybe live chat and sharing, limit pop-ups. These things can kind of get in the way on mobile where they're great on desktop. You can also check to see if your site is mobile friendly by going to the Google search here. That's the Google test for mobile friendliness. It's a simple little test you can run. Go ahead and put that in there too, to check out that. And this is another one. It's a more fuller test from WebDev. It's a Google property too. So you definitely worry about, you know, safety or security on there. It's by the Google, see at the bottom here, Google developers. So it's another Google tool that they're giving you. So think about this, right? They have all these tools for mobile and structured data and testing and information about AMP. Why? Because they want you to do it. It's valuable. It helps your site do better, all right? And if you're stuck in a really highly competitive industry, any of these things are going to make a huge difference. Number 9 is voice search optimization, right? More and more of us are talking to our devices. We talk to Google. Hey, Google. We talk to Siri. We talk to Alexa, right? We talk to Cortana. Well, some of us do. Not a lot of people using Cortana. But these are also important things to understand, right? 2020, 50% of all searches are going to be voice searches, or right around that, and it's going to continue to grow. 2 in 5 say voice-activated devices are essential to their lives. I know I was on a cruise about a month and I was on the last cruise that the boat took. I came in and the boat was shut down. So just made it when I'm here. So you know, on there, a couple of times I like rolled over in bed and went to call out Alexa, what time was it? You know, so they just become ingrained in you or with you. All right. And even now I'll say, hey, Google, I'll have 2 or 3 devices that are going to respond. My phone responds. I have a Google Nest I got for getting a new phone. So it's like things are responding left and right. People are using it on a daily basis, especially the younger ones. Teens, 55%, adults, 44%, and growing. Okay. So something that you want to think about is that, you know, people use more natural language when they do voice search, right? We ask a longer question. You go, hey, Google, where can I find a great slice of pepperoni pizza in New York City, right? Whereas if you were at a computer, you might just say, you know, pepperoni pizza near me. So we tend to ask these more natural languages. And so it's a good idea to think about, you know, the questions that people ask in the way they do that, and maybe change some of your headings on your pages that turn into questions rather than just like a statement. That can help bring in some of those people as well. Remember, it's all about intent. Google wants you to provide the best information that answers your users' questions as fully as possible. So when it comes to really doing really well on this, you want to have lots of information that's really truly valuable, that answers everybody's question. If you've ever been on a page like that where you go, wow, this is great, look at all this, right? That's what that's what Google's looking for. Something that engages your users, that makes them go, wow, this is great. And then they maybe want to share it, or they want to link to it because it's good information. So that's things to think about. Number 9 being voice search, right? Number 10 is content optimization and semantic search, all right? This is optimizing for intent. And remember that. It's super important that you think about intent. You've got to put yourself in the mind of the user sitting at the computer, all right? Typically, search results fall into 3 general categories: navigational, informational, or transactional. So you can say like navigational, where the intent is to reach a site. Someone might say Facebook, Citibank login, White House website, right? People are looking to get somewhere, to navigate somewhere on the web, all right? Informational, the intent here is to acquire information, right? Assumed to be present on one or more web pages. So maybe you're saying, here's like signs of pregnancy, Austin home prices, LCD TV reviews. Right here, we're looking for information. We're probably not in a buy mode, right? We're just trying to get better informed. And so if you are, you know, and then you have transactional, right? Where you want the user to perform some activity, right? Maybe like get insurance quotes, buy yard signs online, subscribe to New York Times. Those are transactional. And so the thing is that if somebody's out there looking, let's say, for information, and you're trying to feed up a transactional thing, right? Like if you have LCD TV reviews and you're trying to sell them an LCD TV, well, it's not really going to work, because that's not what they're in the market for. They're in the market for reviews. And Google gets this, right? So what'll happen is, even though you may make a great page, Google says, well, no, that's not intent. That's not the intent of someone looking for LCD TV reviews. So we're not going to show your site. And so Google's much better at this. They're better at this in a number of ways. BERT is one of the ways. I'll talk a bit more about that in a minute. But BERT helps Google understand the content and your user's query a bit better. And it's made the Google search algorithm much better at handling long queries, or ones where relationships between words are crucial, where it makes sense to understand intent. So you want to start looking at intent research and fulfilling the needs of the user. So if they're looking for LCD TV reviews, having a web page or a blog post that's, you know, best LCD TVs, you know, in 2020, best reviewed LCD TVs for 2020, right? Signs of pregnancy. What are the signs of pregnancy, right? Have a big page of what they are. Maybe have photos or pictures of something explaining it, or whatever it may be. Whatever you think would help your users. What's their intent? What do they want? It's really important to do that. Write content that is relevant and valuable to meet that intent. Stay topic focused in order to create content that addresses an entire conversation holistically, as opposed to just worrying about a single keyword that a particular page should be targeting. You want to have content that just explains and understands, so your user goes, wow, that was, I need to share that. I like this. I'm going to give it a thumbs up. I'm going to, like it or pass it along on LinkedIn or something. So optimize your content for users. Again, back to that word, users, rather than the search engines. Focus on that. Conversion optimization and tracking is also important. People go through all this trouble to, build a website or advertise on Facebook or, do social media, but they don't track any of it. They don't know where are people coming from, where are they going to, how long have they spent on the page? Did they click on the thing I want them to click on? Did they fill out that form I want them to fill out? Did they buy that product I want them to buy? Did they sign up for that newsletter? If you're not tracking this stuff, then you have no idea what your site is doing or not doing. You have no clue, okay? You need to set up goals for important key performance indicators, KPI, key performance indicators. That's what you're looking for. What's important? Did they get to a certain destination on your website? Maybe a thank you page or something, right? Well, how much time did they spend on site? What are the number of the pages that they visited when they got there? What events did they do? Did they click a certain link? Did they play a certain video? Did they click a certain image? You can track these things, okay? You can also track where it's coming from using what are called UTM parameters. These are ways to add additional information to a regular URL. So I add tracking information to, for example, I put a tracking code on all the social media and email blasts that I put out for this webinar today. And so I can actually go into analytics now and I can see the campaign for this webinar that I gave a name, and then I have a location of Facebook or email or Twitter, and I can see in analytics where it came from, okay? And who, which channel sent the most people. And from the people that came, where did they go? Did they actually sign up for the webinar or not? Or did they just kind of leave after looking at a page? So these can help you track your site by the social channels, maybe for its paid advertising, maybe it's even local listings. I'm using these UTM parameters to track the people that click on the local listings at the top with the map area versus the organic traffic that's below it now. And I split those two things out. Email marketing as well, and other places that you might be putting up ads, okay? Here is a nice free URL builder tool that will definitely help. This is a little tool here. This is from Google Development Tools. I'll go ahead and slap that in there, okay? And this can give you some ideas and a little bit of help on what these things are to get more information. And obviously, we could probably do a whole class on this. Just want you to be aware that this is there, right? Number 12, artificial intelligence. This will answer one of the questions that's in the chat already. But AI is super important now, and Google's using it. We're all trying to be using it, but RankBrain is one that's been around for a while. RankBrain has the ability to learn and adapt to the always evolving way that people search. That's from search, most of this is from Search Engine News article. RankBrain refines the way Google manages different searches with the goal of giving the user the best possible results based on what the search behavior is of people, of other people, all right? Google uses what other people have searched for and where they've landed and where they went to get a better understanding of what the intent is. Thereby, the next time they see this stuff, they can provide the best results for you when you search for it. And so they're using this, and all this information helps them, with RankBrain, link these sort of seemingly different queries together, with the goal being to give the user the information they're looking for in the shortest amount of searches, or just to give them the data directly right in the search results. That's what we talked about earlier. BERT was a newer addition in the Google artificial intelligence thing. It's called bidirectional encoder representations from transformers. They definitely worked that to get BERT. I believe there was like an Ernie as well somewhere that was like for something different that this was somehow related to, and they wanted to go BERT because of Ernie. I think there was something about that. I remember reading something about that. Could have been fake news. I don't know. But basically, BERT provides different models that help to process words in relation to the other words in a sentence, rather than one by one in specific order. Again, this is to help them understand intent, and BERT can then consider the full context of a word by looking at the words that come before and after it, right? Because think about it, right? The words on a page individually, or even two at a time, don't give you intent, right? It's all the other words around that are on the page that help you understand what's being said. And so that's super important to understand. BERT is helping Google to better understand the intent of the user and only to provide the best results for what they are determining is what people really want, what the answers are. So it's getting much harder to fool the search engines because they are learning from previous searches what's going on. And then, of course, we're also getting chatbots, right? You're seeing chatbots all the time. I've got a couple of links here to Digital Donut on the rise of bot marketing. Social networks like Facebook have already got this going in their messenger apps. Maybe you're already signed up for a couple of these messenger apps. I get a couple from different people. They come in my messenger. I say no, and they automatically give me something new where I can say no or yes again. Things like that. And there's a couple of links here on Neil Patel's website, 9 ways to include bots within your digital marketing strategy. You can just search for that. You'll find it on Neil Patel's website. And I've also included a link here to 10 new SEO and content marketing tools that are actually powered by artificial intelligence. So they can help you in your content development, your SEO, by looking at the artificial intelligence, like just learning what's going on. And Google is learning, everyone's learning. These artificial ways of getting things done again, they're learning them better and better. Number 13, oddball one, right? Don't forget about Amazon and YouTube as search alternatives. Google's getting, Google Ads is getting much more expensive these days, much more competitive, obviously. Well, I don't know about you guys, but 9 times out of 10, maybe even more, when I want to go buy something, I don't go to Google anymore. I go right to Amazon, right? I got Amazon Prime. I'll pull up it on my app. I'll put Amazon up, I'll go, all right, type it in, look at the reviews, go, yup, edit, buy right away, right? They're at my door the next day or two. I don't even go to Google anymore. So if you're selling product, you should be thinking about, how do you optimize your site for Amazon, right? To boost sales. And I've got a link there, right? Ranking by SEO, Amazon SEO, talk a little bit about that. YouTube, second biggest search engine on the planet after Google is YouTube, even bigger than Bing. Okay, more and more of us are using YouTube regularly to get information. And we're not even, we're not even going to Google anymore. A lot of the younger crowd as well. If you have the millennials in your demographics, you definitely want to be doing YouTube stuff. And remember, YouTube is hugely searched for, not nearly as competitive in many areas. And if you can create an interesting, informative video, right, you can get found. And also what's nice is videos get shown in Google search results. So if I were to say, I'm going to go to Google and say, let's say, how to change a tire. Most of the times, questions with how to in it will give you at least a video. There's the videos right there, how to. If you type in the word video. So I said, I don't know, let's say Pixel 4 XL reviews, right? And I got basic question there and then videos. And then if you put video, of course, it's going to show up. So videos show up not only in YouTube, but also they can show up here in Google as well. So use it. Take advantage of it. Understand that it's not just a Google world anymore, right? We've got Facebook and we've got all these, LinkedIn, if you're business to business. And remember, Amazon and YouTube as search alternatives to get the message out there. Last but not least is technical SEO. This can be a whole day's course. But these are things that, again, go back to users. Broken links. If your site has a lot of broken links, either within your own site or as you link to other people's sites, that's a poor user experience. We already talked about structured data. Having it done right and being seen properly is going to have a value for you, and you're getting it right is going to be important. Duplicate content. If you have the same content over and over on many different pages, Google can see this very easily. You don't want to be duplicating content, having the same content where maybe you're trying to attack 15 different towns. And so you have the same 1,000 words of content, but you've changed out the town name on each page for each town. That's duplicate content. It's going to get flagged. It's going to get you nowhere fast. It's going to drop you, not help you. Canonical tags are ways to help Google understand what the original home of information is, how your site is laid out and the information, how the architecture of your site, how it gets access, how the bots can get and follow along to other parts of your site. Again, back to speed. If you do multiple languages, having href language set up properly so that Google understands, here's the French equivalent of your English page, and here's the Spanish equivalent of that English page, and so on down the line. Doing this right is going to be really, really important. Internal links, making sure you've got them and making it easy for people to get to and fro within your website. Think Wikipedia and how they link to everything within their page. This is a really good thing to do on your own website. And then backlinks. Backlinks is a huge thing to deal with. It's very, very important. And this is when people link to you from their websites, okay? And there are different types of links to get into. Maybe we'll do a webinar at some point on different kind of links that we can do. Probably not a bad idea, because that's a whole topic in and of itself, is backlinks. So those are your 14 things to focus on in this effort, right? Be user-focused. Get your Google My Business thing spot on, especially if you're a local business and serve a local market. It's going to be more valuable moving forward than even your website, honestly. Expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. The SERP marketing, looking at what comes up in Google search engine results pages, what shows up on a search result when you type in your company name. Can you do anything to make it look better, make it look, how fast is your site? Is it secure? Are you using those structured data to make it look, more interesting to Google? What kind of mobile experience? And you're making it easy on a mobile device to convert and use. Are you optimizing for voice search? Are you doing content optimization to get the best information out there that's intended for the right audience, giving them the right information? Are you checking out how people get to your site? Are you tracking that so you know what's working and what's not? Are you looking at things like artificial intelligence to help you make better decisions? Are you looking at Amazon and YouTube as search alternatives? And is your technical SEO buttoned up? Are your T's crossed and your I's dotted, basically, when it comes to that, okay? Those are the 14 things. I've got a few other things here we'll get to you guys as well. Additional resources, some of this information has come from. They're kind of scattered throughout the webpage. We'll do Q&A in a moment. Just real briefly before we get there, being able to ask questions is fundamental learning, and you don't get it by just watching YouTube videos a lot of times. This simple fundamental advantage is driven the training philosophy of both my company and, of course, Noble Desktop, right? Getting in person, being able to ask questions, to talk. A webinar like this is only one forum where you can ask those questions. So if you're interested in learning a lot more about the things that I've got here, take a look. I've got a couple classes coming up. We've got a 20% discount. You'll see it's in the chat with promo code SEO 2020. I didn't get a chance to put it in here, but SEO 2020, 2020. There's a link in the chat right now. You can take a look at it. But if you do that, I am doing this obviously remotely in the format just like this. But when we do it in class, you guys will have your mics on. If you need to talk, we'll be interacting. I have no more than 10 people in class ever. Usually it's between like 4 and 6, so it's nice and private. Easy to do. We do 5 days of class of training, helping you, and then you get 6 months of mentoring after class is over. So the next webinar I mentioned is next week at 5 p.m., not 6 p.m., and I'm going to talk really more about Google My Business. You may see a few of the same information from the slides earlier because it's super important. But next week at 5 p.m., we're going to do how to dominate local search with Google My Business. Forget that. If you want to reach me directly, you can do it here, Steve at Tampa SEO or New York SEO. Either one works. My phone number, extension right there you could use. You can use these numbers here. I've got a bunch of different places and numbers that you can reach me at. And again, I said don't let the name fool you. Not only do we do training, but we do audits and assessments, consulting. I get hired a lot for consulting services. Monthly SEO, we can do your SEO for you. If you don't want to be bothered, you don't have the time, or you just want some help doing it, you can come to me. We can do it for you. And of course, you've got our 2, 3, and 5-day mastery courses. All right. Let's talk about the Q&A. I'm going to go back. I know some of you guys got to jump off. We're right at that 7 o'clock mark. I'm going to go through it, though, for those that want to know. I see we've still got a bunch of people in the room. I'm going to go ahead and just go ahead and go through it here. Let's see. Brooklyn, Worcester, we got record. Yes. A lot of people said yes to being able to hear me. Thank you. Let's see. Oh, Darren in Durango. Hey, Darren G, what's up, man? Nice to hear from you. Glad you can make it. Presentation, yes, you'll get a copy of the presentation as well. We'll get it to you guys as PDF, so you can click on the links. It says we'll post a. Yep, we got that. Thank you, Eli, for the call out, the shout out. All right, can an individual, professional, or freelancer have GMB? You can, okay? Anybody basically that has a small business can do it. You can have a Google My Business listing. Now, if you work from home, from a home office, it gets a little trickier. It depends on the kind of business. A lot of people that actually, let's say, have a service business, or maybe they do some kind of product sales, but they do it out of their home office. A little bit tougher in those situations. Things like PO boxes don't count. Things like UPS store addresses don't count and can get you banned. So there is, you know, things that can be problematic about that. But yeah, as an individual, it would be, what business are you in? What's the name of your company? Now, you can't use, maybe have a DBA, like a doing business as name. But if you just want to call it, like, you know, Steve Scott Marketing or Steve Scott SEO, that's the name of your company, you should be fine filling that thing out. You can put in your address, everything else in there too. But typically you got to have a business name. The only people like personal names would be for places like professionals, doctors, lawyers, you know, dentists, things like that. Okay. How does GMB work for businesses who don't have a storefront? Again, same thing I mentioned before. You need an address. You don't have to have a storefront per se. You have to have a service area. For example, if you're a mover, let's make it easier. You're a plumber and you don't actually have a storefront, right? Nobody brings you broken pipes to your storefront. Your storefront's basically your car or van, right? And maybe you work out of a home office where you do your billing and so on. Well, let's face it. You don't have a storefront, but you have what's called a service area, right? Because you service at people's houses, at their client sites. If that's the type of business that you're in, then there is an area called a service area business that you can put into Google, and you can kind of differentiate one from the other. Now, like I said, your best bet is going to be to come to our session next week at 5 o'clock, where we go into some of this and we actually can show you where that is, what to do and how to do it, how to set your areas that are good for you. So I would definitely recommend you swing by next week for the Google My Business webinar that I'll be doing for Noble Desktop, okay? I already answered what search stood for. Search engine results page is what you see when you hit the enter key after typing a keyword into Google. How does Google My Business work for businesses who don't? We already answered that. Regarding reducing the number of elements on a page, what about the currently popular style of putting a looped background video on your landing page? Does it impact speed? All right. So the answer to that is anything that you add to your site is going to impact speed. And as I mentioned, one of the best ways to really do that is through gtmetrics.com. Okay. And let me just see, I'll go ahead and I'll just run, this is the CrossFit box I work at. I know their site is kind of slow. You see, if you log in, you can do from the US, and you can do I think one other type of, maybe Firefox. It's a free login for GT Metrics. I do like this tool a lot. This will give you good information about this page. Okay, so this is the home page. If I wanted to check, let's say, my category page of my store, I could do that. So take a look, right? Page speed, an F. Y slow score, E. Takes 3.8 seconds to fully load the site. It's 3.67 megabytes, really high, 88 requests, 88 things I'm going to get from the server. So it gives me all the things that I can do to kind of clean things up, make it tighter on page speed, some Y slow things, and then the waterfall shows you a lot of what's taking time. Okay, so you can look for different things and see if they're taking time, what's causing that time. You can see if there's any kind of weird outliers. You see the purple, 0.4 milliseconds, 0.4 milliseconds. All these things are waiting to get this Ajax PHP file, right? It's like it's called 3 or 4 times. Why 3 or 4 times? This one was canceled. You may see if there's broken things in here as well. So this can help you find what may be slowing you down. But the question, does it impact speed? Everything impacts speed. So videos are going to impact speed, pictures are going to impact speed, JavaScript is going to impact speed, CSS is going to impact speed. You want to minimize the heck out of everything to get that speed as fast as possible without getting rid of important things that your users are going to like. Okay, what's the max size for photos on a page? You really know max size. You just want the right size. So if you have an area on your screen that's 500 pixels wide by 250 pixels high, you don't want to load up a 5,000 pixel wide by 2,500 pixel tall image and just reduce it to the 500 by 250. You want to actually save the file as 500 by 250 and call that file for that spot. So you want to reduce that information as much as possible. Can an individual professional, okay, we talked about that one. Is this any other seminar this week and last week recorded? I don't know about last week, this week will be and has been. It seems to me that AMP limits creativity. So the goal for AMP is not to, it's not about limiting creativity, it's about increasing speed. It's about making your site super responsive, okay? It's about making it easily accessed for Google. So yeah, it's not gonna be the most gorgeous looking site. That's not its intent. Its intent is for fast, quick answers, information for people. Typically, you're going to find it more on content-rich stuff, information-based. You're probably not going to find it in like a store, product stuff, which is where you really want your creativity to shine. But again, it's really more about speed. And it's an alternative. So we don't build just on AMP. We have a main website and a page, like page A or blog page A, and there's blog page A AMP, which is a scaled down version of it in a sense, okay? That's what AMP is really about. It's not about substitute for HTML. It's in addition to HTML, that's scaled down version for AMP. Kind of like we used to have when we had like mobile websites versus regular websites. Now we have responsive websites, right? I know, Cheryl, about it, you know, answering questions as long as we were going. There's just wanted to make sure we got to the material. I didn't want to be on topic 10 at 7 o'clock, so that's why I waited. What else we got? The links. Is this structured data? AMP is not structured data. AMP is a like an HTML light. So it's a markup language in and of itself, kind of a light version. Structured data is things that we add in addition to, it's a scripting language as well as other things that we can add into our content. That's a data layer that the search engines read. Your users are almost never going to see your structured data. The search engines will, okay? Structured data added by a database. So the question is structured data added by a database, or is it just markup or JavaScript code? It's basically JavaScript code or markup, all right? And it can be added by a database, but it's probably going to be done through a programmer. So keep in mind, structured data is going to require some technical skills, probably some kind of a coder as well. I already answered the BERT question earlier, recordings. I think you'll get an email about all of that. John, thank you for replying. BERT, bidirectional encoder representations from transformers. Facebook and LinkedIn. Post video, thanks. Can you set up social media posts from Twitter or Facebook to automatically share as posts on Google My Business? No, I don't believe you can do that, but I think there are, I don't think there's any way that I know, any tool that you can use to post to Google My Business. You have to go to Google My Business. Again, the promo code for class SEO 2020, which if you sign up for the mastery course, that's only for the 5-day class, you can get 20% off my class. What do you mean Google My Business will be more valuable to? Okay, so are you saying GMB will replace websites, making them obsolete? No, I don't mean that it's going to replace a website. Nothing will ever replace your website. What I am saying is if you have a local business and you do searches for what you want to get found for, and the majority of searches that you do for that business show up with a map at the top and that little pack of 3 or 4 listings, what I'm saying is that more and more and more of us are clicking those listings to get to the website or to go to the website, especially on mobile devices because they show up higher than the organic search below. So you need a website. In fact, your Google My Business listing lists links to your website, and they have to connect and they have to kind of talk to one another in a sense. So no, you need it. What I'm getting at though is from the standpoint of value, right? Is that your Google My Business listing is going to be driving more clicks to your business. And it's been driving more and more clicks to your business than you probably knew. And in fact, if you aren't tracking your Google My Business listing separately, it's going to show up in analytics, if you're using analytics, as organic traffic. When it's really not, right? Because you can't get in that if you don't have a Google My Business listing. And so it's not organic. And many folks who we're seeing, in fact, most of my clients who are in local, where they service a specific area, where maybe it's Tampa, maybe it's, I have a company up in North Jersey area that we do in Bergen County area. So, things like that are going on. What I'm getting at is that the listing in Google My Business is going to be more important and more valuable than your website, not to your website, right? It's going to be more important because more people will be clicking on it because that's how it's going, okay? Bunch of thank yous, appreciate the question. Is there any lost value by making it so easy for Google to read your site that users don't have to click on your site to get the information they are looking for? Well, 6 to 1, half dozen of the other. It doesn't mean people aren't going to see you, right? If you're not there, somebody else will be there. Is it better to be seen and not clicked on than to not be seen or clicked on? I'd say probably better to be seen, right? Think about a billboard that you go by the side of the road. How often do you stop to make a call or write down the website address from the billboard, right? It's just a reminder. So now, if you're doing a search for information about something and you see this FAQ thing pop up and you read the answer, you go, okay, great, and then you leave because you got your answer. But then you go search for something else and you see that same website had another answer. Well, then you might decide to go check out the website. So again, think of it more of like a branding thing than anything else. It's a really good question. Again, is there any lost value by making it so easy for Google to read your site that users don't have to actually click on your site to get the information you're looking for? So I would say yes, because you potentially are getting some good branding out of that. Bunch of thank yous. You guys are all welcome. UTM, I forget. It's left over from, I think it's Urchin Tag Manager, I think is what it says. Don't worry about it at all, guys. It's Google bought out a company back in the day called Urchin, which is a super expensive analytics program. They bought it, they rebranded it, renamed it, and these are just sort of leftover things from back then for UTM. WordPress will impact speed. Yep, it's definitely one of them. However, Kenyatta, there are many ways to speed up WordPress. We've got WordPress websites that are coming in under 2.5 seconds all the time. So don't worry about that. And then could you please advise on SEO for a WordPress blog that does product reviews? Could you please advise on, Katie, I'm not really sure what you're getting at. So I would just say, reach out to me, on any of my Facebook or LinkedIn or anywhere. Steve at Tampa-SEO, my email's up here, Steve at New York SEO, either one of those, just reach out to me. Give me a call. Happy to talk to you for a few moments and give you some free advice there. Any WordPress plugins for SEO? There's two big ones I like a lot. My most favorite is Yoast, Y-O-A-S-T, Yoast SEO. By far and away my favorite. I use it on every one of my own sites as well as my client sites. But some others use all-in-one SEO. That's not to say there aren't other good SEO plugins out there for WordPress. There are plenty. Those are two of the best. And if you did some legwork and said best SEO plugin for whatever, WordPress, you're going to likely see those two at the top of every list. What's else? Okay, Kenyatta, thanks for Yoast. Put it out there, Yoast. Yep, good. What books or websites other than do you recommend for the SEO novice learner? I would definitely recommend Neil Patel. Neil's got some great content he puts out all the time, both podcasts, videos, blog content, great information. He got some great free tools. Highly recommend Moz, MOZ.com. Love Search Engine Land, Search Engine News, Search Engine Journal, Search Engine Watch. All of them are going to have real valuable information. I would also encourage you, not only my own websites, but at the search, I'm going to put in a thing here, the chat, Search Engine Academy.com. This is also a brand that I'm, oh, that's the wrong person, a brand that I'm also a member of. I'm board of directors. I chair up the education committee. I actually create the material that we teach across the globe that I'm giving in April. Basically, I'm the one that makes it up. So that's another place you can get some really good information. All right, I know we got a few people left in the room. I appreciate you guys hanging out. So about 58 people in the room. Are there any other questions about anything that we've covered? I know we're a few minutes over, but lots of great questions out there. All right, well, again, if nothing else, many thanks for you guys coming out to visit us today. I do appreciate it. Again, if you need my help and just have some questions that's going on, I'm all about free advice right now. So please feel free to reach out to me if you have a question. I'm basically going to be offering just a lot of free help right now while COVID's going on and people are trying to figure stuff out. So if you've got some questions about your Google My Business listing or about your website, please feel free to give me a call. Let me know that you were at the webinar, and I'd be happy to answer a few quick questions for you if it would help. All right. Thanks for having me, guys. I'll hopefully see some of you next week on our full hour on dominating local search using Google My Business, and we'll speak a little bit more about the COVID-19 issues that we're seeing within that. All right. Thank you guys for coming out. I will see you hopefully next week. Take care, everybody.